Today we're going to add some color to our feathers. And if you remember correctly, we were looking at the color wheel yesterday. We're going to focus on trying to make a feather for each color of that wheel. So we'll start maybe with the primary colors and then work into the secondary colors too. But remember, your first step is to make sure you've gone over everything with the oil pastel. So I had a line here that I didn't finish yet. Just remember, sometimes it's good to use the edge to get a little bit of a skinnier line. And you want to kind of take your time going back and forth a few times just to really make sure you get a lot of oil pastel on that paper. Otherwise, the wax resist trick may not work quite as well. I missed a line there. Once you're finished, bring it up to us, and we will take a peek at it to make sure you got all your lines traced, and then we'll give you your watercolors. So for the watercolors, you'll get a set that looks like this. You may have to open it up like that. You'll get a brush. You'll get a cup that you can fill up about halfway full with water. And then it's always good to keep a paper towel by you too. Now, we need to remember a couple things with these watercolors. First, they need water in them to work. Now, because we're just doing one color at a time, only put the water in the color that you're using for that feather. So to begin, I'm going to just dip my brush in the water here. Let's say I'm going to do blue. I dip my brush in the water and I just lightly scrape it across the edge. And I'm going to start to create a little puddle in it. I want to do that a few times. I want to really try to fill in that whole oval with some water so it creates its own little pool there. And then I'm going to just kind of very lightly move it around to kind of get that water to work into the color. Now we need to remember, with watercolors, we're not scooping up the paint. We're simply just dipping our brush into that little pool of water. So if we don't see that pool there, we need to stop, dip our brush in the water again, and add more water into that oval, because we always want that pool there. But then you simply just dip your brush in the pool, and because of these oil pastels we put down, we should be able to just paint right over something. And it's almost like a magic trick. Wherever we put those oil pastels, look, I can go right over it, but the color will not go there. Look how cool that is. You have to kind of keep dipping back and forth into your watercolor. But look at that. It's magically pushing the color away. Now if I just keep going over like this without going back into my watercolor, you'll notice it's a lighter blue than here. If I want it to be darker blue, I just go over it again. Dip back into the color and go over it again. So you can always go back to and re-go over a spot you just did. Now if you didn't put the oil pastels on enough, you'll notice that it will show up on your lines. That's one thing that the paper towel could come in handy for. You could just kind of dab it on there to dry up some of those little water droplets. Another thing is, in between colors, you'll kind of clean off your brush and then you can use your paper towel to go ahead and wipe it off. But you can see here, this is my blue one, so I just want to keep adding water to my blue oval and keep on going. Okay, until I get the whole thing filled in. Look at that, isn't that cool? It's really satisfying when you see the oil pastel. We are going to possibly cut these out when we're done too, so don't worry if you go outside the lines, as long as you traced over or traced around it with your white oil pastel, it will show you where to cut anyways. And again, if you don't like how sometimes there's little color droplets on the oil pastel, just take your paper towel and dab it dry. So there we go, almost finished. So I get the last part down here, like so. Well, pretty neat, huh? I love how that looks. I'll just dab out some of the extra. So there you have it. There's my blue feather. Next, I would just kind of swish around my brush, dab it on the bottom a little bit to get ready for my next. Now, if the color gets too messy, you can always switch it out for some fresh water too. But then my next step is just to think of my next color I want, and then start fresh again with that little pool. So I'm just slowly adding some water, lightly going back and forth in that oval carefully to get the color ready. You kind of have to be real careful with this so you don't splash everywhere. But then you're ready for your next color. Alright, I'll stop there, but have fun. See what you can do.